Hello and welcome back to Looking Up. This is a podcast for Christian women. I'm Kathy Pollard, and with me is Carla Moore. We're your hosts, and this is the last episode of season 5. We are going to take a break for a couple of weeks. We have Bible camp coming up and some other things going on this summer, and so we're wrapping up our 5th season. When we come back, we'll be starting our 6th season. We're 2.5 years in. If you're just joining us for the first time, thank you so much. We are glad to have you with us. It's our objective to just encourage women to keep looking up no matter what's going on in life. And we do that by nothing fancy. We don't have a scripted conversation. We don't even edit this thing. All we do is get together every week and we talk. And we talk about things that are on our hearts and on our minds and think maybe some other Christian women would enjoy this conversation too. So make your favorite drink and spend some time with us. We're glad to have you here. So, Carla, what's been going on with you? And I feel like I haven't asked you in a long time, but have you been thrifting? Have you found anything fun lately?
I did. Not anything big this week, but I did find a pair of shoes that I'm pretty excited about. They're Dansco.
Oh, wow. That's a nice
They're
brand.
brand new and they're fun. That's a fun color. It's not something I
Mhm.
think I'll wear all the time, but I mean, these are like $150 shoes and hopefully they'll be comfortable because I won't wear them if they're not. I did try them on. They're my size, but yeah, so I did find something. I go by there, but the only one I go to is here in Drippin because I just don't have time to go into Austin. But yeah, I'm doing all right. Things are, it's summertime. We've been just doing pantry stuff. Our son has been working on kind of redoing our, well, not kind of, he did redo our pantry. I was a little embarrassed when I looked back at the pictures that I shared on my personal page yesterday because my pantry was jam packed. It was like I used to just shove things in there. I had no organization style at all. But
Mhm.
so I posted that picture and then I looked back. I was kind of zooming in. What do I have in my pantry here? My El Patio chips and junk food that you could see. But that's been the main thing that's gone on this week is just getting the pantry done. There's a few little things still left to do, and it'll probably take a little while to get those. The last things are always the take the longest, just pieces of
Mhm.
trim and stuff like that. But
It looks amazing.
it's been a
Very
journey.
beautiful.
Thank you. It's been
He
fun
did
to
a
do.
great job.
He did. He had opinions that I didn't expect him to have. Like they were good opinions, but we did have to kind of talk it out. Like I didn't even know you cared about the color of the drawers in my pantry, but he had opinions and I'm glad I listened to him on some stuff. He listened to me on some stuff. But when you work with your he's not my child, but your son, it makes for a different experience. But it was all good. Glad it's almost over.
Well, speaking of Dansko, I
Hmm.
can't remember if I even told you this or not, but when we did the round table, did
Hmm.
you notice Michelle Massey's shoes?
I know. I love those shoes.
I loved those shoes. And I even reached out to her after I got back home and said, okay, what were those shoes that you were wearing? Because I loved them. And so she sent me the link and they were Dansko's,
Hmm.
but they were also very expensive. And so I ended up putting it on my Christmas wish list.
Uh-huh.
And so Neil bought them for me for Christmas.
Nice.
And so the first time I wore them, I think we went to Nashville or somewhere, and I was wearing them all day long. And I can tell you, yes, they are very comfortable. And I kind of wondered because they look like they have kind of a thick wooden heel. And in my mind, I was imagining it to being kind of hard and clunky and loud, but it's not. It's very supportive, soft, quiet, all those things. So I really, really love them. And they're the only pair of shoes that I have that I still keep in the box. When I put
Yeah.
them away, I put them in the box. All my other shoes are just, on the floor of my closet.
Well, hers, I weren't they kind of like this? They were clogs with the
Yeah,
toe and
similar. They had more of
but
a
they were
heel.
higher.
They had a higher heel, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I've had a pair of tennis shoes from Dansko that were very comfortable, and this is I think this right here is kind of what I'm wondering if it's going to be comfortable because it's right along the edge of my toes. So we'll see. We'll see.
That is a cute color.
It is. I mean, it's not something that I have a lot of things that I don't know. I could wear it with black. They're like blush pink. So
Hmm. Really pretty.
yeah, seven
So,
ninety nine.
aside from your pantry, what else is going on?
Um, so your banana and egg and oats has pretty
Blueberry.
much rocked my world this week. And John, because
Good,
I
good.
split it with him. We share it. And it man, it feels like I'm cheating in a way because it's 0 points. I mean, I know still there's calories and I have to think about that. I'm not going to just go hog wild. But this morning I added some Lily's sugar-free
Chocolate chip.
semi-sweet chocolate chips, like
Mm.
15 of them. So my whole breakfast was 1 point and it was really, really good. So thanks for that recipe. You need to send me whatever other, I know you said you lived on that for a while, or at
Hmm.
least did you have that for breakfast every morning?
A lot of mornings. I did the banana pancakes for a while with the diced nectarine and mint on top, and then I would do that blueberry loaf, is what I called it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it made
Yeah.
me feel like I was eating banana bread or something for breakfast.
Yeah. It's very satisfying and fulfilling or fulfilling too. But
Hmm.
I mean, that may sound like a little bit of a too big of a word for banana egg bread, but it was really good.
Banana egg bread just doesn't sound good.
Banana loaf doesn't sound a whole lot better. I'm gonna start calling it banana cake.
Banana.
Banana oat cake.
Okay.
I don't
That's
care. It was good. I've enjoyed
oh
that.
good. Good.
What's going on there? Is Ollie better?
He's getting better. I don't know that I said what happened last week. He tore a ligament in his elbow. That's what happened. So he'd
Hmm.
been holding up his paw and he'd been in pain, and now he's on 5 different drugs every day. So
He's doing better than the rest of us then.
he's loopy, yeah, for sure. But I was going to share that we have some exciting news concerning Gary and Chelsea and the upcoming birth of their son Atlas. They've moved up the date.
Wow.
So the original due date was the 23rd, but they're actually going to induce on the 16th. Is Father's Day the 15th? Is that a Sunday? He
Yes.
goes into the hospital on Father's Day, and then the next morning they're going to induce.
So she's only got a couple more weeks then.
Yes. In fact, our Bible camp starts this Sunday, so I'll be leaving for camp, get back Friday night. Saturday is our family baby shower for Chelsea. And then Sunday, she's going into the hospital. So as soon as I get back from camp, everything is just like boom, 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 boom. And her parents aren't going to be able to be here for the birth. So she asked me to come in the room with her.
Oh, wow, Kathy, that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. I'm so touched and so honored. And I've never experienced anything like that before.
Yeah.
And, because our other grandbabies that have been born, their moms were here and with them in the room. And so I don't really have anything to draw on as far as what I'm supposed to do. I know it's going to be wonderful. I just don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
Because even with my own births,
Yeah.
no, it was always just Neil and me in the room
Yeah.
with all three of them. I didn't have my mom or anybody else around. And it wasn't until we brought the baby home from the hospital that my mom came and stayed with us for a week to help out. And then Neil's mom after that came and stayed for a week to help out. But as far as somebody being in the room, I don't
Yeah.
even have that to draw from. So, so I'm excited. And at the same time, I hope I don't disappoint her in some way because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
Well, you probably should communicate that with her. Like, ask,
That's a good
this what
idea.
the, like, but I've always wanted to witness a birth that was not my own.
Mhm.
That was one of the things that I wanted to do growing up is to be a labor nurse or a
Really?
doula. Yeah. And
I did not know this about you.
I'm just fascinated by birth. And
Hmm.
but there's things that are hard that go along with it. So I think I was a little afraid to go fully in, all in on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would think that's a huge honor that she asked you to do that. And then fascinating to just to watch the process. I mean,
Yeah.
when
And
it's
it was
your
so sweet.
own, your
Mhm.
own birth, you are fully engaged in the process, but just to be able to observe and see, I don't know, that's going to be so neat. I'm glad you're going to get to do
Well,
that.
when she brought it up, she said, it won't hurt my feelings if you don't want to do this, but I'd love to have you in the room if you're willing. And I was just like, I just melted. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
that is amazing.
Yeah.
That will be so cool. That was very sweet of her.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Your
that's
role may be keeping Gary from passing out or something.
yeah, it'll be fun to see that too. I hadn't even really thought about that aspect of it,
Hmm.
thinking about her, but it'll be fun to see him
Yeah.
all happening too. So
I mean, think about being able to watch your son's reaction to seeing his child born. That's an honor.
yeah, yeah, it is. So
Now
that's
I'm excited for you.
yeah, that's our big thing coming up. And I was also going to share that I spent another day with Christy last week, my sister, and we played pickleball again. This time they weren't all old people. There was a young guy there that's probably the age of my little pickleball instructor friend. And he, when he came to play, I said, "So are you good?" And he went, "Yes."
Okay. And he's humble too.
And yeah, and so he was partnered with me. So I had to say, "Well, I'm not."
Hmm.
And he was good and not afraid to tell me when I
See?
wasn't, you know?
Is it somebody that she knew?
Now, this is Portland does this thing on Thursdays for a couple of hours where it's called open play.
Okay.
So anybody can show up in the gym and they just kind of, whoever shows up, that's who you play with, you know? And if you've got more players than courts, you just cycle in and out. And so it's kind of nerve-wracking because
Oh,
you had to tell everybody, I'm still learning. I'm not really good at it, you know? And so I kept catching myself apologizing if I'd miss my serve or miss the return, or I go, "Oh, sorry." And he'd say, "No apologies."
he was
Okay,
very no
okay,
nonsense then.
sorry. I mean,
He was probably doing the mental eye roll when you said, I'm still learning. He's like, great.
yeah, I know, I know. But he was nice. I mean, he was a nice kid, but he was good for
Yeah.
like scary good. And when I ended up playing opposite him for a game, his serves were terrifying. You know,
Mm.
it was just that whole life flashing before your eyes, you're trying to kill me kind of serve, you know.
Mhm. Did you do the
But yeah,
thing? Put your
so I tried not to squeal. But so then we went back to her house and Christy scared me half to death because, I pulled up into her driveway. She got out of her car, came back to mine and handed me this envelope and said, "I don't really know what to make of this. It came in the mail. Why don't you just sit here and read it for a couple minutes? I'm gonna go on inside." And my stomach just bottomed out, and I was like,
Yeah.
what? And I thought, does it have to do with somebody that we love? Is this something with a family member or somebody say something mean to her? I just didn't know what to expect. And then I started looking at the envelope. There's no stamp on it. There's just a sticker.
Oh, yeah.
And it's addressed to Christy Woodland instead of Christy Woodall. And, Christy spelled wrong. And I thought, what in the world? And I pulled it out and it's this elaborate. Like dear faithful patron, we've tried to call you by phone on multiple occasions, yet we've been unable to reach you. You may or may not have heard of the difficulties that have recently fallen on our fine establishment. And it's this whole typed letter about how the fine establishment has been condemned for various reasons. They didn't, the finances and cleanliness and all this other kind of stuff. And people are canceling their reservations and so anyway, it's about, because she always feeds me when I go over there.
Hmm.
So it's about her house and she's turning it into this like restaurant being condemned kind of thing. And she said, once you arrive, set your timer for 30 minutes. Really, set your watch now. And so she's got all this stuff in here like if the owner doesn't come out in 3 minutes, honk your horn 3 times, blah, blah, blah. But then you can come inside and sincerely former owner of this fine establishment. And then there's asterisks at the bottom in the fine print. This letter serves as a disclaimer and releases us from any legal obligation should you become sick, injured, or dead from your dining experience with us. So anyway,
He's playing a game with you, basically.
oh my goodness, it was such an elaborate setup. And so when I finally go in, I'm like knocking on the door. Hello? There's all these barriers everywhere. There's a big sign that says condemned, you know. So I have to walk through. these barricades that she has put up in her house.
Did you take
And
pictures?
I did not take pictures of that part. But when I finally made it to the living room, it opened up into this beautiful high tea type setting. So then there was pretty music and flowers and china and the set table and like the whole thing. So anyway, all that was a big elaborate setup to surprise me with a tea because she felt like I needed a birthday do-over.
You did.
So So
How
sat
fun.
down and we had this little, afternoon tea and it was delightful, of course. And then she even gave me a couple more presents and they were things for the watercolor bookmarks that I make.
Mhm.
She got me some tassels and like these covers to protect the bookmark. So it looks like this.
Mhm.
You can slip them down into these covers and it has all different colored tassels and things. So anyway, it was very sweet. But um her creativity. This is why I always say I can never live up to this kind of stuff, because she's so good at making things fun and memorable. And I'm like, here, come over and we'll have a cup of coffee.
Well, that doesn't make yours any less fun and valuable and all, but she needs to write a book with her ideas to do things like that.
She
Because
really
I get
does.
the feeling, just from listening to you, that she's not doing this. Like sometimes, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like some people are just trying to impress.
Hmm.
But she sounds like she just wants people to have fun when they
She
come to her
does.
house. And
She
so
does,
she,
and she's good at knowing people, and so she did something that she knows I love, and she's just good at knowing people and knowing how to when she does. I've said this before about her when she does gifts for people, even people that you wouldn't think would be like a family member or somebody all that close to her. It's like, how do you know to come up with the exact most perfect thing? She just really has a gift for that. And now she's
listen,
probably listening to this going, y'all are making me sound terrible. You know?
no, I think
Uh,
obviously she listens. She listens to people and hears things. And to me,
mhm.
that's a gift in itself.
Well, I mean, it was cracking me up when I got home. Every time I thought about it, she went to a lot of trouble just to type up this letter,
Yeah.
and then everything that she did. I reached out to her and said, I hope you know how much I appreciate all your effort. You know, Sometimes I feel like in person, I'm not good at expressing how much that meant to me, how sweet it was. It's like, thank you so much. And it just feels like it's not, you know,
Yeah.
as
And
impactful as I want it to be. But um, I told her later, I just hope you know, I keep thinking about all the trouble you went to do that. And it did. It really meant a lot to me.
yeah.
So
Well, there
it's,
may be a lot of people that think about doing things like that. I mean, I think about doing something cool, but do they actually follow through?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
she does. So that's really,
exactly. Yeah. So,
oh, how fun.
yeah.
Well, I wanted to share something that I texted Erin, my daughter-in-law, about something this week, and oh, she sent me a picture of the kids, and they were sitting at their table, and they were like finger painting, or maybe it was watercolor. I can't remember what it was they were doing, and so I just asked her what kind of stuff they had going on because they're out of school for the summer, and she sent me a picture of their like pantry doors, and she's got summer expectations. She's got a daily schedule. She's very organized.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and but she's not so sometimes organized people are like you have to stick to the schedule, and she's not like that.
Mhm.
She's flexible. So she's got if anytime the kids have any question, what are we going to do this week? They can go and look. And so that was Space Week. They were painting, and I want to say it wouldn't have been acrylic. It was probably watercolor, but they painted the planets, and it was they looked really cool. It was like a navy blue background. Anyway, so it was Space Week. She told me it's Space Week. And then they're having Lego Week, they're having Sea Life Week, and then they're having Yaya and Pa Week. They're coming to see us,
Oh,
not this next week, but the week after. Then they have Skills Week, they have Patriotic Week, Animal Week. So every week they have kind of a theme. But so she's got a poster up that says summer expectations. And she has four expectations for them. Obey the first time, every time with a happy heart, be kind and play nice, be content and respect others. And so there's little sub things, what to do. If if they get bored, they have to go to the boredom chart and it says, if I'm bored, I can. And then they have all of these things that they can do. They can play with bubbles, they can make bracelets, they can play puppets, sketch something they see outside. Anyway, I just thought that is really a neat thing that she's doing for them, and they'll remember that. They'll remember summers being fun and good, and rather than just being allowed, my mom didn't let me say I'm bored. That was
No,
not something we ever
we weren't
said.
allowed to say that either. Yeah.
We paid for it if we said I'm bored. And
That's
it's like, oh, you're
cute.
bored? You can take
Uh,
this bottle and this rag and clean the baseboards.
yeah. How about going out there and weeding the front flower bed?
Yeah, I weed the monkey grass. That's one thing I did have to do. There's a consequence jar that she sent me a picture of. So if you do this, you have to go pick something out of the consequence jar, like, clean the baseboards, whatever. But the thing that made me laugh is that one of the consequences for not being content, if they talk back or tattle or mope and pout, then they can choose from the boredom jar or they can have a squirt of sassy sauce. So I said, "What is sassy sauce? Because it doesn't sound very good." And she said, "It is a squirt bottle, half vinegar, half water. So if they get sassy, they get a squirt of sassy sauce."
In their mouth.
No, it's not something that's going to hurt them, and it's not something that they enjoy at all.
Mhm.
So she said that
That's cute.
her friend at Katie there, Regina Ross, it's a Regina Ross original. But I thought, man, I probably still need that sassy sauce sometimes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I need a bottle of that on my kitchen counter.
Hmm.
Just go around and squirt it
For ourselves,
for
yeah.
myself. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Except I like vinegar, so I mean, just make it barbecue sauce and I'm good.
That's cute.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, she's just on top of stuff like that, and
You ever hear stuff like that and just wish you could go back and do it all over again?
yeah. I know that we were semi-organized in the summertime. They had camps that they went to, but there were those days that you're like, I need to have something for them to do. How many, in fact, there's another thing she said, snacks, because I asked her, how many times have you heard, can I have a snack? And she said, they know that snack time is at 10 and 3. And so they don't ask for it otherwise.
Hmm.
And I remember that being kind of a thing I'd roll my eyes at all the time. Another snack, like all day long, I felt like I was doling out snacks or telling them, no, you can't have a snack. It's almost lunchtime. So summertime, there's so many that homeschool and it's,
Yeah.
not anything different, I guess. But for those who are in a more um, regimented school setting, I think that summertime is just a different experience.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. She needs to write a book.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch your kids parent.
Hmm. Yeah. I love getting all the pictures, the little snippets of things happening during the day that are cute or hilarious or messy or whatever it is, whatever they're willing to share with us throughout the day. I just love it. Neil and I crack up. We love
Yeah.
it all.
Well, do yours usually come from your daughters-in-law or from your sons?
Mostly from the daughters-in-law.
Yeah,
Mhm.
ours too, which I makes me appreciate it even more because, you know, it's they're including us and
Mhm.
they're wanting to share. So I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I do too. I do.
But I think that's all that I have. Oh, wait, I do before you start the topic, unless you have something.
I was just going to say, I can't remember if I just said it to you or on here already, but this afternoon we're leaving for the Homestead Festival in Columbia, Tennessee. So,
Hmm.
um, Roy Feek, this is on his farm, and Justin Rhodes is going to be there this year, and he's speaking, and Joel Salatin, you've probably heard that name since the new presidency. No, okay. He's going to be there, but there's a lot of great topics. And this time, Neil got us a hotel room nearby so that we don't have to commute back and forth because it's all day Friday and all day Saturday. So we're going to go up this afternoon, spend the next couple of days, get all the good ideas, and they've got, the food trucks and the things for sale, and it's just a big fun thing. There's
Yeah.
live music, it's going to be great. So we're going to spend the whole weekend doing that and come back. And I already sent a little warning out in the family text, just so you know, we're getting ready to go back to the Homestead Festival. Be prepared for us to come back with all the ideas.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, are there things that you learned last year that you've implemented since then?
Well, last year was when we got excited about the whole idea of family steading, and they didn't really call it that, but there were a couple of different presenters that got up and talked about their lifestyle and how they do things, and that's exactly what they do. Their grown kids ended up building on the land, and they all kind of work it together. And so that's when we first heard about the idea and kind of mulled it over and got excited about it. And it seems like ever since then, I keep hearing or seeing of more and more people who are doing that.
Yeah.
And we're still working on it. It's ended up being not as easy as we thought, as far as jumping through hoops and red tape and what you can and can't do with your land.
Right,
But
on your own property.
yeah, but that was the genesis of that whole idea. Um, so anyway,
I guess they have
this will
to.
be our third year going. So every time we go, I still feel like we're newbies and we have a lot to learn, even though we have a whole another year under our belt. It's
Mhm.
just, it's
I'm
just fun
sure
to go and,
they're bound to have those in other places besides Tennessee. But
oh, they're everywhere. Yeah. There's some really big ones too.
well, the next time you happen to run across one that's in Texas, let me know because I would like to. I mean, I'm not homesteading. That's not exactly something that I'm going to end up doing, but that lifestyle is attractive to me and the kind of people that are involved in it. And
Hmm.
I mean, tasting booths, I'm sure there's things that you can taste. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so I would enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Well,
right.
have fun.
Okay. You have something else before we hop into our topic.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a letter from a friend of mine. Her name is Rhonda Greenway, and you know Rhonda and Roy as well.
Hmm.
And she has been mulling over. I mean, if you to know Rhonda is to love her. She's the sweetest thing, and she's just very soft spoken. And but she's one of those that listens. You can tell that she's listening when you talk, and just she's a good friend. She sent me this letter, and she says, I want her to read a little bit of it. For a long time now, I've been pondering Titus 2, 3 through 5, and wondering how we could do more to fulfill this. So it's talking about older women teaching the younger women. She says, I only personally only have a few younger women that I know enough to converse with them. And she said, I suppose we must be friends with someone and know what they're dealing with to offer advice or teaching. So she brings up a good point about relationships between
Hmm.
older and younger women. And I know we've talked about this in a prior episode, but she is trying, I mean, she's wanting to honor what God wants us to do as older women teaching younger women and how best to do that in a way, in a format that older women are able to do and younger women are wanting to receive, and also what kinds of advice and suggestions younger women might have for older women, and remembering that there's always someone younger than you to teach. But she says she was trying to think of ways that might be a way for anyone to offer advice in a non-threatening or non-confrontational way, because sometimes that happens. Offering
Hmm.
advice can be seen as confrontational, and she, if you know her, you know that she would not be that way either. Um, she thought about in like a ladies' Bible class type setting, passing out papers and having everybody write down some advice and then compiling it into a booklet and then giving it to everyone. And then she thought probably younger women are going to be more interested in an online type, seeing it online rather than in a paper, although some may prefer that. But she is just wanting to know what how we can fulfill what God wants us to do, and older women helping younger women. And so I thought during the break that we're going to have coming up that maybe we could ask everyone in this group to be thinking, if you're a younger woman, how best would you receive advice from an older woman? Or what is it that older women can do and how can they do it that would help you? And maybe even what are some ways that are off-putting, and why is it off-putting when, or I don't know what's a better way of saying than off-putting, but hopefully that makes sense.
It does.
Um, to what are some ways that we do it that is not effective? But also from older women, I just think to get that conversation going again is what I'm interested in. I think that's what Rhonda is interested in, and is knowing the best way to fulfill that obligation, because we need each other. And so I'll put something in the group in the next week or two about this
Okay.
and kind of explain it a little bit more. But I just think it would be good for everybody to be thinking about it and offer some suggestions and see what we come up with as a group.
And I appreciate Rhonda's tender heart in wanting to do something about this.
Yeah, she does have a sweet, tender heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So in this episode, we are going to be all over the place and we're going to be talking about the best of the best. So it's a little bit different from our favorite things because we're not necessarily talking about favorite things, but we are going to be talking about where we think you can get the best whatever or what we think is the best type of whatever. So we don't really have an organized manner in which to do this. And I have quite a few, and I'm sure you do too. So I thought we would just jump right in. And these are just things in our humble opinion that we think are the best based on trying them ourselves versus trying other types or whatever. So if anybody listening has a different opinion or something that they think would be better than that, we are all ears. We would love to hear about it. So we're just jump right in. And the first ones I thought we would start out with are when it comes to eating out and going out to find the best steak and the best pizza, because I kind of feel like whenever you're wanting something good, it's got to be something along those lines. And so for the best steak, now you could go all over the place with this because I know that there are some mighty fine steak restaurants out there that cost a pretty penny.
Mhm.
So I'm not even including those. I'm just saying, like, you're run of the mill, driving down the road, seeing the restaurants where to get the best steak. Neil and I think Longhorn has the best steak.
Longhorn Steakhouse. Yeah.
Hmm.
And those are everywhere, so you can find that pretty much everywhere.
Hmm.
I was trying to remember, there was some time I had a steak that you literally could cut with your fork, like just, and but I could for the life of me remember where it was.
Hmm.
So that's not very helpful.
No.
But there's a place, and I think there in other places besides Texas, but it's called Texas Land and Cattle.
Hmm.
And that's a good steak place too. And they have good bread. And I tend to judge steakhouses by their bread. Outback has good bread. Where
Yeah.
was it we went in when we were there for Equipped? Was that Outback?
Yes.
So I like their bread.
Hmm. That
So
brown
anyway,
bread. Hmm.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what is it about
I would
Longhorn?
say Longhorn has the best bread, but their steak is always tender, flavorful. They do it just right. I mean, it's consistent, you know, and so that's why we chose, plus reasonably priced, you know.
Yeah, for a steak. Yeah.
We have a place called Tony's that just opened up here, and we went there for our anniversary, and it was one of those steaks where you can just, I mean, it was one of those steaks where with every bite, I'm like making noises, you know, it was that good, but also outrageously expensive. So,
Yeah. Yeah, there's steak houses here in Austin that I've heard of them, but we're just not going to go there because
yeah,
it's just too
yeah,
expensive.
very expensive. Okay, so best pizza.
Mhm.
This is a tough one for me, and I think it's because I mean, I'm not going to turn any pizza down. I
Mhm.
like pizza. I can
Yeah.
eat cheap pizza. I can even eat the frozen pizza from the grocery store. But for going out to get a pizza, we have a place here called Gino's, which I think is probably local, so that won't do
Never
you any good. But I think they locally, I think that's where you can get the best pizza around here. But they also have really good calzones that are the size of my laptop. I mean, they're
Oh
giant.
man.
They are huge. You
Twelve
can eat that
25
thing for
and I'm
days.
hungry. And pizza. Oh, that's my favorite. I've never met a pizza I didn't like,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
except Domino's. I am not fond of Domino's.
Yeah, same here. And Neil hates Domino's, but yeah. But you know, if I can eat pizza pretty much every day. We don't. I like it
Mhm.
more than Neil does, but You can do so much with it.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to get pizza?
It used to be a place called Austin Pizza Garden, which was like 20 minutes from here, right on the outskirts of Austin. And it wasn't a chain, it was just a local place. And there's something about the crust is kind of a cracker type crust, and they closed. So every time, and I have to drive past it every time I go in and out of Austin.
Ah,
I mourn it every time I go past.
oh.
But my favorite is a place just called Pizza Inn. Did y'all ever have a Pizza Inn?
Yeah, but I haven't seen one of those in years.
That's the thing. They're gone. I think there's one in Texarkana, Texas, Arkansas, whatever. Um, but we don't go that way ever. We used to when Jake was at Harding, but I can't find it. So my favorite really is just Mr. Gaddy's. And I don't know if y'all have Mr. Gaddy's. Does it
Uh,
sound familiar?
I don't know.
Well, you would know it because their jingle is call 459-2222. Have a Mr. Gaddy's pizza delivered.
Oh.
That's bonus. Mr. Gaddy's. I don't know. I just like it. It's
Is
a
that like one of those kitty places that has all the
They have a Gaddy
pumpkins
Town.
and oh,
There's it's a sub section of Mr. Gaddy's. You can go play games, but not all of them are. And it's just a very simple, cheap pizza, but I guess it's the sauce that does it for me. I like the sauce at Mr. Gaddy's.
mm, okay. All right. Switching gears drastically.
Your face when I was singing the jingle, like I couldn't tell if you were frozen because you're just like, was my voice that bad?
No, it was wonderful. It was
Uh,
wonderful.
yeah.
No, let's do all the food ones since we're already talking about food. Best ice cream flavor. Did you come
Okay.
up with one?
I came up with several.
Oh, what you got?
I think my favorite is Rocky Road. That's the one I tend to always go for, but
I love Rocky Road.
it has to be the kind that has real marshmallows and not marshmallow cream. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
really care for marshmallow cream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rocky Road, and then mint chocolate chip is one, and Jamocha almond fudge.
We have very similar ice cream palette.
Hey, what's yours?
My all-time favorite is Ben and Jerry's Cherry Garcia.
I don't think I've ever had that one. I've heard of
Oh,
it.
so good. And if you're on Weight Watchers, Halo has a new version of
Writing this down.
they don't call it Cherry Garcia. I don't know what they call it, but it's chocolate and cherries and it's ginormous chunks all the way through it and it is crazy good. Okay, so favorite fast food, best fast food. I mean,
I've got to scroll to find it.
I
Um,
put Chick-fil-A.
yeah. I told myself it has to be something besides Chick-fil-A because that's just the best fast food.
Hmm.
Um, Rose's is technically probably not fast food, but
That's true.
I
Taco
said
place.
something about it. Yeah, and I don't, they're kind of hard to find, but it's Mexican and they have really, really good. That's where we ate when we picked you up at the airport before we went out
Mhm.
to Round Table.
Yeah, that was
So
good.
yeah, they have good, like a bar of salsas and fresh lime and lemon and all that I like. But then there's another place called Slim Chickens. Have you ever had
We
that?
have one of those. Yeah, I almost said that one. Yeah,
I
but if I
really like
have to
Slim
choose
Chickens.
between the two, I'll probably still go with Chick-fil-A. So
Yeah. Chick-fil-A is just so you can count on them.
yeah,
It's consistent and good and fresh.
yeah.
Salads are always fresh. It's not bag salad. And I appreciate that.
And their mac and cheese for fast food is surprisingly good.
I don't think I've allowed myself to order that because I'm afraid I'll like it too much.
Well, I like to get the spicy chicken deluxe sandwich. It's a spicy chicken with like pepper jack cheese and lettuce and tomato and okay, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, me
All
too.
right. Hopefully that's all the food ones. Yes. So let's go from there to toothpaste. That's logical.
After, yeah,
What's the best toothpaste?
right here.
Crest plus cinnamon expressions.
Yeah.
I've
And it
never.
is not for kids, even though it looks like it's for kids.
Mm-hmm.
This one's kind of hard to find. Walmart usually has it, but HEB does not. So that's just the one that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just, I know it looks like a kid's one, but it's not.
We've been using Arm& Hammer baking soda whitening, bright white, or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
whatever their whitening one is called, for years. And it's gotten to the point that if I ever switch out and get something else, I miss that kind of baking soda-y, kind of squeaky clean feeling that the Arm& Hammer toothpaste gives.
Is it not gritty?
It's not gritty, no. No, it's like regular toothpaste. It doesn't feel
Your
gritty.
teeth are white, so it's working.
Big. I should have done a recipe blog before the toothpaste. I just saw that one.
Okay.
You have a best recipe blog or recipe source?
That one was a hard one for me because I just tend to Google when I'm looking for something. And
Hmm.
then seems like most of the time I end up at allrecipes.com
Hmm.
because I look for ratings and those usually have higher ratings. So I'm all ears about what your best. I mean, I like Half Baked Harvest, but
Yeah.
it's a little fancier than my normal everyday thing.
Well, if I'm looking up a recipe, I do the same thing and just Google it and find the one that most appeals to me. But if I'm just wanting inspiration, I go to Farmhouse on Boone,
Mm.
her
Yeah.
website, because to me, she's a good balance of everything's going to be from scratch and mostly whole foods, but she's also not afraid to cook with a little brown sugar. She considers butter a real food that's good for you. It's just very simple, made from scratch kind of recipes, whether you're talking about breads, desserts, pot pies, soups, pasta dishes. She's got everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Boone, Boone?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like it.
All right. What would be the best thing to go to from there? Let's do. You suggested we talk about the best all-purpose cleaner, and I couldn't come up with one. But I'm looking forward to what you have.
Okay. It is, it's a Melaleuca brand. Well, that's the brand. You can get it on Amazon though, which surprised me because when I went to look and see, used to, you could only buy it through Melaleuca, but they have one called Solumel
Saw
and
you, Mel.
it's SOL-U-MEL.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what that stands for, but usually it comes in, it's concentrated. So you buy a spray bottle and then you put your own water and it just works well. But they have another one called Tub and Tile. I guess Melaleuca is
Hmm.
my favorite cleaning brand, but it's not at the grocery store. So you have to used to go to Melaleuca or find someone that sold Melaleuca, but now you can find it on Amazon. It just works well and it smells good. So
Okay.
that's my
Hmm.
recommendation.
Yeah, have to give that a try. I feel like I'm always looking for something that I
Yeah.
want to use there.
You
Um,
forgot a food thing.
oh, I did
Frozen
forget.
pizza. Oh, you said you didn't have one, but I do.
Oh, what you got?
I don't know how to say it.
Oh, they do spaghetti sauce also.
Yes. I actually looked up how to say it and I got two different responses. One of them said it's Rayo's and then one of them said Rouse, but it's RAO apostrophe S.
Mhm.
And it's my new favorite. And we don't do a whole lot of frozen pizza because it tends to be so high in calorie and all that. But we did the other night. Mike and Courtney and Lori and Frank were here and we had several different kinds of Rayo's or Rouse. And the crust was really crispy and the sauce was good and the cheese seemed like real cheese and not cardboard or whatever some of them tend to use. It's a little more than the typical frozen pizza, but it's still less than buying it from a pizza place. So try
Yeah.
it. I like it.
Well, we buy their spaghetti sauce from Sam's because it's one of the few spaghetti sauces that didn't have sugar in it.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
really
real
good.
good.
Hmm. Hmm, good.
Okay.
Okay. Let's do your favorite. Yeah, the best Bible study, the best Bible study resource.
Well, mine is Logos or Logos. And again, is that going to be yours too?
Yep.
So it's expensive if you have the subscription or whatever they call it, but I looked to see the free version. Did you also do this?
No.
Okay, so you can get the free basic version. And so I looked to see what all was included with that. So you get five Bibles. You get the ESV, the King James, the CSB, the Lexham, and ASV. There's two audio Bibles you can get, and it's the Lexham I can't remember, if it's Lexham Standard, Lexham Bible, and the ESV. There's a study Bible called the Faith Life Study Bible. There's two commentaries. One of them is the commentary, critical and explanatory on the whole Bible, and then word studies in the New Testament. There's a dictionary, the Lexham Bible Dictionary. There's 10 different interlinears, and it works on the ESV, the King James, the Lexham, and the ASV. There's 5 different atlases. There's a bunch of different books, like the Harmony of the Gospels, parallels. There's the comparison tool is included in so you can compare the different versions, has visual filters. So, I mean, there's a lot in
Mhm.
the free version. You have to learn how to use it, and
Mhm.
that's kind of um, a big deal. But I also look to see, and Michael Height has some tutorials
Mhm.
on YouTube, especially on the Light Network. So,
And so does Logos. I mean, they have a lot of tutorials showing
mhm,
you how to use their different features. And the app is free.
yeah,
Also, you can have that on your phone and pull up your text and listen to the audio Bible, and you can look up words and their original meanings, and you can look up like study helps. And so that,
yeah.
yeah, I chose the exact same one.
Well, you're the one that introduced me to it, really. And I remember one of your PTP lessons, I don't know how many years ago, and you talked about a word and the where else it's used in scripture, and then you talked about um I think you did the like the concordance tool. I didn't notice if it had a concordance on the free version, but the keywords, you made a sentence out of the keywords. And so I was like, wow, that's some really cool stuff. So then I started looking into it. And so thanks. You introduced me to it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, let's see if we have another good one like that. No. Um, do you have a best pillow?
I don't. I'm interested in hearing what yours is.
Okay, so this might be kind of surprising, but mine's a cheap one.
Yeah.
It is from Sam's. It's Member's Mark. It's their cooling gel memory foam something. And typically I don't like memory foam. I don't really care for memory foam mattresses. I don't know why. I just kind of have an aversion to it. But this particular pillow, it's exactly called Sam's Member's Mark Hotel Premier Collection Premium Cooling Gel Memory Foam.
It's a lot of
It's only
premium.
it's only $20.
Mm.
And but it's the only pillow we've tried the My Pillows, we've tried, nicer ones when we went to buy our mattress. We went and got invested good pillows to go with it and didn't like them. And I feel like I kept going through pillows. And I just saw this one at Sam's and I was just like, I'm just gonna try this one. And I love it. And Neil ended up getting one too. And
Is it
but
kind of hard, spongy?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a back sleeper or a side sleeper?
Tide.
Me too. Hmm.
Mhm.
Have to
Yeah.
try it.
Okay. Best way to de-stress.
Well, my best way to de-stress is a hug from John, but not everyone can have that. So he's a good hugger. I just feel like I feel it in my chest, like tingles and like calm.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. It's just a hug from John. But if you can't do that, sit on your deck or patio, just sit outside and listen to the birds and the cicadas and feel the breeze and have a mosquito repellent outside so that you don't get eaten by the mosquitoes. But that's my favorite thing to do is sit on the deck.
Mhm. Mine is prayer and walking. And, prayer, of course,
Mhm.
Philippians 4 says that the peace of God, when we turn everything over to Him, we'll have that peace. But sometimes I hate to follow that verse up with a but sometimes I feel, I don't know, antsy when I'm stressed or anxious or whatever it might be. But if I go for a walk or I start even just walking laps, Um, it's it just physiologically does something for me that really, really helps. And I feel like it clears my mental space, and I can combine those two together. I can pray while I'm walking. It just makes me feel less, I don't know if defeated is a little bit dramatic,
Mm.
but it just really helps me de-stress. That's probably my number one. And most of the time, I don't really want to. I kind of want to just hole up somewhere and cry or, you
Yeah.
know, maybe go for the comfort food kind of a thing. But if I just get up and start walking, it just does something. It just
Mhm.
helps me release that stress. And that's my number one, my best coping mechanism.
It's a good one. Some I used to have headaches. I don't so much anymore, but when I would get up and walk, which is kind of seems counterintuitive,
Hmm.
but it would get rid of the headache. And I don't know if it was just
Interesting. Hmm.
so it's I mean it's good for you. So obviously it's going to help things that are hurting.
Okay. Best vacuum.
I meant to bring mine in here, but so we've you and I've talked about this before. I think you have to spend a little money, don't you? Or else you just keep buying another one because that previous one broke.
Hmm.
And we had a shark and it worked pretty well. And I think that most sharks are pretty good, but we found a Dyson cordless on a Black Friday sale, and that has been my favorite. It's lightweight.
Hmm.
Um, Now they make this sounds so I don't know how it sounds, but and I haven't not bought one, but I've seen it. It's a because you have to hold the trigger while you're
Hmm.
vacuuming. Now they make a little trigger holder, so you don't have to hold it down. So your hand
Wow.
doesn't hurt. Yeah. So I haven't done that yet, but it's lightweight. It's just so easy to pull it off the wall and just, a spot that one of the kids has spilled something. Just
Mhm.
clean it up rather than pulling the cord out, plugging it in, dragging it across. And that sounds really spoiled, but it is what it is. But a Dyson cordless, and I can put a link next week to the exact one, but I didn't bring it in here.
So I am giving the same answer, and you and I had this conversation about it because we were looking for a new vacuum. We had been through several, and even when we moved to Colorado, we got the Dyson traditional vacuum,
Mhm.
and I didn't like it. And
He
now
or what?
we switched over to Shark, and we used Shark for years. And so I was looking for a new vacuum and reached out to you. Well, we went to buy a vacuum, and we ended up going with a Dyson traditional vacuum again instead of the cordless. And I hated it. It was so unwieldy and like it hurt my wrist to vacuum. That's how heavy that thing was. And when you were done and you try to prop it up, it would never stay propped up. It kept flopping over, and it was so fat that it wouldn't fit under anything. And it was awful. And I hung on to that thing for 9 months and reached out to Sam's and they let me return it.
Nice.
It was 6 months past the return window.
Oh,
And they still let me return it. And it was so
cry
hard
to
to
them or
do
what?
that the roller underneath, I was wiping it all down and I thought I should probably clean out the roller before I'd send it back. I flipped it over. You could hardly tell because I was just going back to my other cheap stuff.
Mhm.
And so we ended up getting the cordless instead, and it is way better. And I love how you can get under all the furniture. The attachments are easy to pop on and off. You just hang it on the wall and it charges when it's hanging there. I mean, it's the best. It really is.
Yeah.
So I
And
agree with
it's not cheap, but you can always find it on sale. So don't buy one full price. You can find, Black Friday, Memorial Day, whatever, and
you. Hmm.
coupons. So, but you can always find it on sale. Still going to cost you some, but it's worth it.
And well, they got different levels too. I mean, you
Right.
can get the Cadillac Dyson stick cordless, which we don't have, but yeah. Okay. Do you have a best mopping system?
I don't, but my daughter-in-law Courtney had one that I saw her use that looks pretty cool. It's a Tyneco or Tyneco, but I don't personally. That's just her recommendation. So what do you have?
I don't have one. I was hoping you did.
Well, this one it looks pretty cool. It's a mop and a vacuum. And
Hmm.
so it has a tank with water on it and it's for hardwood floors. So we have laminate floors and I didn't look to see if it works on those, but it's Tineco, Tineco. But I'll put a link to it and I'll ask her some more details about what she likes about it.
Okay. That's one of those things where I've tried different things and even the steam one, and just, I don't know if it's just that we're exceedingly nasty people and our floors are always really bad. But I just never feel like the floors are clean. And I ran across, I think I took a screenshot of this. Let me see if I can find it. It was like grandma's mopping system. Oh, here it is. So, grandma's mop water secret.
Okay.
So, in your mop bucket, it says still works. That's what it said. In your mop bucket, you add lemon peels to hot water. This infuses fresh scent and gentle acidity. Stir in a spoon of baking soda. This neutralizes odors and boosts cleaning. Pour a dash of vinegar. This cuts grease and leaves a natural shine. Drop in a few mint leaves. This adds a cooling aroma and a mild antibacterial boost. And then mop like normal and let air dry. So all of these things I have on hand all the
Hmm.
time. And I like how it's non-toxic, you can air dry, you don't have to follow it up with a rinse. So I'm gonna try it. I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna try this and let you know. It's like putting together a soup recipe before you mop, but
So do you use it with the traditional stringy mop or with a sponge
I don't
mop?
like the stringy mop. I got the kind that you it's like a bunch of different, what kind of fabric is it made out of? It's a big wide mop that
Mhm.
it has two clips that hold this clothy thing in place. And you mop with it, and once it gets
Like a
dirty, you take
Swiffer?
it out. No, they're washable and
Oh,
they're real fuzzy. But once it gets dirty, you switch it out with another one. So you buy several, and that way you're never running the dirty mop over the floor, and then you just throw them all in the wash and reuse them again next time. So that's what my mop is.
yeah. I have a Bona, um, which is what Brian, the man who did our floors, recommended. But I just spray the Bona spray on it, and then it's got the Velcro strips that you put attach what you're talking about.
Hmm.
I have two or three that I wash, but I mean, I don't love it, but I just don't love mopping anyway, so I can't
Yeah.
think of a mop that I love.
The best mopping system is a maid.
John is a good
It's a
mopper.
house cleaner.
Yeah. John, he's a thorough mopper. So, in fact, probably the last time we mopped was him. Like he walks barefoot and I don't.
Oh
So
no.
he notices things on the floor that I don't.
Yeah. Some people come over here and they slip off their shoes and they'll be walking around barefoot and I'm like, oh,
Need to provide some flip-flops by the door.
we have a dusty dirt driveway and a barn and you
You're on a
probably
homestead. It's supposed to be dusty.
yeah, but nobody probably wants to be walking barefoot around here. Okay. Excuse me. Here's some that you came up with. Best childhood TV program.
Okay. Do you remember Zoom?
No.
That may be I'm a little older than you, but it ran on PBS from 72 to 78. I looked it up. And I'm not going to sing the jingle because you'll look at me funny like you did earlier. Zuma, 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 Zoom. Anyway, it was just all kids. There was no adults on it, but they were all kids like my age. So in 78, I was 10. And it was they did crafts, they did songs, they did plays, and they talked to the camera. So you kind of felt like you were just their buddy. And
Mhm.
it wasn't dumb. It wasn't, things are so dumb and silly now. Kids, some of them anyway. But that's the one that came to my mind when you said that. But I also thought about Schoolhouse Rock and Gilligan's Island and the after school specials from the 80s, I guess. So
Oh yeah, the after school specials. Those were fun. Yeah, I put Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
that's a childhood TV program.
Well, it's a TV program I watched in my childhood.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. It fits.
that's how I interpreted that.
I remember that.
All right, you also suggested we share the best outdoor tool, and I'm
Mhm.
going to go with the Hori Hori knife,
Yeah.
which I think I shared in the very first favorites episode that we ever did. One
Right.
of those early ones. But I still, pretty much anytime I go outside and do anything, my trusty Hori Hori knife is with me because it
Yeah.
does it all.
And also, if some intruder came running up on you, you'd be prepared for that as
You can
well.
stab 'em. That's right. Or at least take on a threatening stance.
Yeah. Well, I found it was a mommy markdown thing, but it's a stand-up weed puller. Do you have one of those?
I have one on my wish list.
You need one of those because I put it together. I just got it not long ago, and because
Okay.
we have stickers really bad here.
Yeah.
Last summer, I got after them. I just took a sharp steak knife because I know you have to get them out by the roots, and I would just stab down and pull them up, but that was on my hands and knees. And so I looked for a better weed puller, and one came up on Mommy Markdown, and it just you just center it over the top of the root of the weed and push down, and then you lean the weed puller. There's a lever that you put your foot on, and when it comes up, it has it by the roots and a big chunk of dirt too. So you have to pull the weed out and
Yeah.
chunk the dirt back on the ground. But it really works well. So get you a stand-up weed puller.
Nice, nice. I wrote that down.
Okay.
Well, so that'll lead us into the best mommy markdown purchase, another one of your suggestions. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the digital tire inflator.
Yeah.
They just brought that one out again a day or two ago, and I almost got another one just to have on hand as a gift for somebody because it's not very big, but they keep having it for 75% off.
Hmm.
And depending on when you look at it, sometimes it's $60, sometimes it's about $90, but they've had it down to $16 on the mommy markdown. But it's like a what do you call it? I wrote this stuff down, like a compressor inflator kind of a thing, and it has a digital display on there, tells you what your tire pressure is. It's got lights on it. It's rechargeable. One charge will inflate four tires, and then you can do different settings. So is this a car tire? Is it a motorcycle? Are you just inflating a float? I mean, there's all kinds of different things that you can do with it. But um, we got that just to have on hand because with the zero turn and everything, we're always having flat tires around here. And Dale saw it and he was like, "What is this?"
Sounds like a great gift.
Yeah, yeah. So that's been my favorite purchase. But I had to share another one because I almost shared this as a best jeans. You know how you're always looking for like the perfect pair of jeans? Well, one of them was a mommy markdown purchase. And when I got them, I loved everything about the jeans except the size. And it's one of those brands that if you wear a size, normal size, you would want a size down one. They do the vanity
Yeah.
sizing, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I exchanged it for the next size down and missed out on the mommy markdown price because Amazon wouldn't let me just change it out. They wanted me to return it
Mm,
and then make the purchase again. And when I did, it was no longer on sale. So
mm.
then I ended up putting it in my wish list because it was about twice the cost as it was supposed to be originally. And so Neil ended up getting them for me for one of my May occasions. But I looked at it so I could tell everybody what brand this was that was this, it's hard to find a pair of jeans for me that I'm not fiddling with somehow. I either don't like where they hit me on my love handles, or you have to keep tugging them up, or, there's just always
Yeah.
something off. And this pair of jeans I can put on and almost forget about it. I mean, it's comfortable. I think they're cute. They come in all the different washes. But so I went to look at it to see what brand it was, and it's got literally no markings on it whatsoever. Like there's no brand. The only thing on the inside is the size and what it's made out of. And that's it. But I even got this
It'll
lighter
be
one.
in your cart. You'll be able to link it, right? Because you'll
Yeah,
have
so I
it
went and looked
purchased.
it up and it's the brand is Shewin,
Okay. I've seen it.
Shewin. That's the brand, wide leg jeans. Um, but they're, as jeans go, they're not very expensive even when they're not on sale. But Mommy Markdown brings them around every now and then. And now I'm going to go back and get some different washes. So
Okay.
there you go. I would wear these all day, every day. In fact, I wore them Wednesday night and then turn around again and wore them Sunday night.
They must be good. Yeah, I
They're,
have a hard time with jeans. Lots of different reasons. So I tend to not wear them very often, except in the
yeah,
winter.
yeah.
So mine is kind of a splurge, but it was marked way down. And I brought it in here and it's too big. It's this fan. It's the Shark misting fan. So it looks like a regular fan, but it has this little attachment on it
Mm-hmm.
that goes on the front and it's water. So you attach it to your hose. And I have had one of these before that did not work, but this one works really well. And when it's 104 degrees, even on the deck in the shade, this oscillates. And I think it was a mommy markdown, but it was a QVC, not an Amazon thing. And I went back to look at see if I could find it, and I couldn't find it on Amazon, the exact same one, although I bet it's a Shark. So I'm sure Shark has it on their website, but probably not for what I paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it just makes a huge difference. It's not like getting sprayed with the hose. It's just a really fine mist.
Mm-hmm.
It does get on my glasses and I can't get it right in my face. But just to have it out on the deck and blowing, I got almost cold the other day when I was sitting out there after we'd been working in the yard. So that has been my favorite purchase from Mommy
Yeah.
Martha to date.
That would feel good after working out in the hot sun all day long. And I'm even picturing, I've seen our guys under the hood of a truck
Yeah.
hours trying to fix something and it's hot out there. It'd be nice to have something like that nearby them, to keep them cool while they're in the middle of a big project or.
Yeah. And you can charge this one. It doesn't have to be plugged in. You charge
Oh,
it up.
nice.
I don't know how long it would last. It may only be 5 minutes as far as the battery, but I need to try that out and see. So you
Okay,
can take it places.
good one.
Yeah,
Okay. Best wedding shower gift. Was this yours also? Your idea?
I think so.
Okay,
You want me to go or you go?
you can go.
So for a baby shower, doesn't it kind of depend on if it's their first child or second or third, whatever? Because if it's a subsequent child, diapers to me are always a gift card to place where they can get diapers and wipes. But one of the things that I have found that I used all the time and you don't see them all that much anymore is a bouncy seat. And
Yeah.
it's just it just sits on the tabletop when they're little bitty or on the ground. And it just kind of cradles them and as they move, it bounces them. So it kind of is a self-soothing kind of thing. And
Mhm.
they're not very expensive, really.
Mhm.
And you buckle them in. A lot of them have the little toy thing that goes over the top, so they have something to look at. But a bouncy seat to me is a good baby gift. And then a wedding shower gift, that book on marriage that you talk about all the time. Who's the author of the book?
Paul
Paul
David
something.
Tripp.
Yeah, that's a good gift. But then also maybe like a date night gift type thing with a date night in a popcorn and one of those popcorn poppers that was one of your favorite things that we use every day, just about. Uh,
Mhm.
just a date night gift box, I think is a fun gift to give. It's something that you don't see all the time. So those are my ideas.
Yeah, well, so I just did the wedding shower one, and I like to give two books, Marriage by Paul David Tripp and Sheet Music. And I
Mhm.
think that's by Lehman. But um that's what I like to do for weddings. I didn't do a baby shower gift.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, best kitchen tool.
This was a tough one because I have lots of fun ones, but I settled on two. I don't, mom calls it a bench scraper.
Hmm.
Sure you use those. So like if you've been rolling out a pie crust or if you have any kind of flour or whatever, you could scrape the flour off of your countertop. Do you use them for other things? I mean, you can chop stuff and then scoop it up.
Bread, yeah, bread dough.
Yeah, but I use this a lot. But then
Okay.
my other one is the lemon squeezer.
Oh yeah,
I use it all the
definitely.
time.
Yeah, that one was tough because those I would choose those a handheld zester, like a micro plain zester, and then I thought about my smoothie blender because I don't have to pull out the big blender. I use it almost every day. It's
Yeah,
like one of those little individual things, you just put everything in there and press the button and you're good to go. So, but there, yeah, that was a fun one.
yeah.
Okay, let's get a little literary, and I'm keeping an eye on the time. We're getting a little long-winded,
40.
Carla. Um,
Imagine.
best magazines, and I'll just really quickly share a couple. One of them, subscription that you got me, Homestead Living, which is beautifully done. covers all kinds of topics. And this is one of those that every time it shows up, I sit down, I fix a cup of coffee, I sit down, I read it cover to cover and love it. And then the other one, I don't know if you've ever heard of Daphne's Diary.
Mm-mm. That looks fun.
It's beautiful. All the covers are always this gorgeous. And it's printed in the UK. But this lady, Daphne, she just writes, it's like her own little personal diary where she writes all these stories. And so she'll share some of them in here, but basically the gist of it is just a really bunch of pretty things in here, calendars, stickers, washi tape, recipe cards, and it's all stuff
Wow.
that you can pull. It's almost like an adult craft magazine. It's stuff that you can pull out and use. And sometimes it's just the pretty pages that you can pull out and do whatever you want with, and
Cool.
I mean,
Daphne's Diary.
Daphne's Diary. And we tried to subscribe to it online, but we were having issues, I guess, because it's in the UK, even though technically US residents are supposed to be able to get it. So I had, see, look at that page. Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
Looks like wallpaper.
Yeah. So I had, whenever I would get one, I would just go to Barnes and Noble because they carry it and just buy an individual copy. Well, I just discovered this week that Amazon carries it.
Oh, cool.
So you can order the current issue. They do 8 issues a year. They're expensive. Um, but like you just use it. Like almost every page out of here you can do something with. So it's
Hmm.
really fun. So those are my best magazines.
I don't do a lot of magazines. I figured you were going to do bar. That would be one that I
Oh
would
yeah.
guess for you.
I forgot
Uh,
about that one. I should have done that one.
I just don't, I don't know. I think because I don't read on anything but my iPad much anymore because the print is so small. But one of the ones that I loved when I was a kid and as an adult too is Reader's Digest. It's just because it's got, I
They
mean, it's
still
just
do
got,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Really?
I haven't, it's been a long time since I've read one. So I had to really, you know,
I didn't
think to
know it
come up with
was when
something.
we were first married, we had that
Yeah.
subscription. Huh.
Well, my dad had them in his office, those and the Reader's Digest condensed books. And when I would go to work with him, I would sit on his floor and read Reader's Digest. But it's just little short articles that are very helpful, at least they used to be. And I don't know, it's just you can read a little bit at a time.
Hmm.
And so if you have just a short amount of time, you can read a little short article. They have little stories in there. So that's just the one I came up with. As a kid, I used to love to get Highlights magazine. That was a fun one. Of course, there's Discovery and Reason and Revelation from Apologetics Press that are great. But Reader's Digest was probably one that I would sit down and read from cover to cover.
Yeah. I didn't even know that they were still a thing.
Pretty sure. Pretty
Okay.
sure.
All right. And then best new reads. Did I share that one with you? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to end on this one or do you have others you want to share?
I think that's it.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
except for clothing retailer, but you said you didn't have one, so that we can
Oh,
skip that.
well, share yours though. I didn't mean to skip that one.
The clothing retailer,
Yeah.
I, I said, does Goodwill count? It, I guess, kind of does. There's certain brands I look for at Goodwill, which would be Chico's, which I know is kind of like the more mature woman. But that and Flax, I just like those two brands. Flax is the linen stuff, and that's really too expensive to buy firsthand, so I look for it at Goodwill. But
Mhm.
Target is they just have there's a couple of brands within Target. One's Universal Thread and one's called All in Motion. And
Mhm.
they fit and they're not too expensive and so I like those. So that's mine, clothing retailer.
Okay. All right. So best new reads. Do you want to go first?
I this one was a little hard for me because I don't guess I have had a new one and the one that I came up with was something written in 2019, but I just read it like a few months ago. It's The Dutch House by Ann Patchett.
Hmm.
And it was pretty good. It was about a brother and a sister who grow up in this house. Their father remarries, their father dies, the new mother kicks them out of the house, and so they spend the rest of their life continuing to kind of go back and sit in front of this house and talk about their past. And like I kind of had a the house that my parents built when I was in high school. that I lived in for a few years, they moved out of it. They sold it and moved out of it a weekend that I was on a retreat. And so I never got to like go back in that one last time and say goodbye.
Wow.
So I've
Yeah.
had dreams about it.
Oh,
And so
wow.
this kind of just resonated with me. It was good. The Dutch house.
Hmm. Okay. So disclaimer, I'm going to say it. These two books that I'm going to share are excellent. I don't recommend them for any kind of doctrinal teaching. One author mentions evolution, which, the Bible does not teach. And one author uses some sort of, religious lingo that I may or may not agree with. So, but for the top, I'm just going to say that. So if that kind of stuff bothers you, maybe don't get these books. But for the topics, these are incredible and I highly recommend them. The first one, I think this one came out last year, Humility, and the subtitle is The Joy of Self-Forgetfulness.
Mm.
And Hiram Kemp mentioned this book in a sermon, and he had the picture of it on the screen. And when I read that subtitle, that's what caught my attention. And I'm telling you, it's a really short read. Oh, by the way, this is what happens when you have grandchildren. You see that?
That's fun though. It's sweet.
I had my book with a highlighter because I was marking things up and then I never even saw him doing it. I just picked this up later to finish reading it and it was
So you
all
need
marked.
to write, was it Rich?
Yes.
You need to write his name and the date that he did that.
Yeah.
So you'll go
You're
back
right. I
later.
should do that. I should do that. But this book is so good. It is so quotable. It it really talks about how we imprison ourselves by our by our own pride
Mm.
and all the different ways that we do that. I'm sorry. Now brought the frog along for the first time in a long time. And it's a really short book and a really short read, but you will want a highlighter and you will be highlighting things, and it's excellent. The other one is one that Neil got. This one just came out this year, The Anxious Generation.
Okay.
And everybody needs to read this book. The subtitle is How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. And it's all about everybody that has grown up on basically smartphones, social media, and all that, and how it's impacted everything.
Okay.
Not just how we engage with one another, but how we think, what we think. And I had to share this one because Neil's the one reading it, but I kind of feel like I am too because he keeps
Great.
sharing large chunks of it with me. Every time he's reading it, he goes, listen to this. And it is good. I'm going to go ahead and read it again for myself when he's done with it. But so these are two that came out, both really, really good. Humility, The Joy of Self-Forgetfulness, and that one's by Gavin Ortlund, Ortlund. I'll share it in the group. And then Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, The Anxious Generation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're
All
more
right.
cerebral than me. I'm fiction, you're self-help. Or not self-help, but nonfiction.
Okay, so do you have something good for you?
I do. And it's just something that I had forgotten that I had until I started cleaning out for the pantry. But these are little, they are, I have these for the grandkids. If you can see, they're little trays with a handle. We got these at the Target dollar, when you walk in and they
Oh
have
yeah.
all those things.
Mhm.
So they probably don't have them exactly like this anymore, but you could find some like it probably on Amazon. So when they come, you can pack their lunch and have a picnic. Put like in one, you can put their sandwich or their taco, whatever, put some chips and carrots, or put a drink in one of these little compartments, and then they can carry it outside and you can have a little picnic. But they had fun with this a couple summers ago, and now that I have refound them, we'll be using them at their when they
That's
come see
cute.
us in a couple weeks. So
Yeah, I need all the ideas like that. That's great.
they thought it was fun.
All right, you're gonna love mine because it is another Bible writing thing. Neil sent me this. I hadn't heard of it before. It's called King's Copy. King's
King's
Copy.
copy.
It's from Deuteronomy 17, verses 18 through 20, where God instructed the king of Israel to write out his own personal copy of the scriptures, keep it with him, and read from it all the days of his life. So it's called King's Copy.
Okay.
And it's this congregation. Which one was it? Oh, the Henderson Church of Christ in Henderson, Kentucky. it's this congregation that does it together, but they have all this stuff online so you can access it. So they do a theme every year, and that's what it looks like, King's Copy
Hmm.
right there. But he talks about the 4 promises from writing scripture that God makes to you. It will teach you the fear of the Lord. It will keep you humble. It will help you obey it, and it will impact generations of Christians. So then you can go to their website, www.hendersonCofc.org, or their social media feeds. And so they have, like, January's theme was visionaries. And so you print this off, and it's got scripture writing for every day. At the bottom, it says do the right thing, and right is spelled
Yep.
WRITE. But then underneath that, they have study suggestions.
Hmm.
So you've got what you write, and then you can print off the study suggestions, and they give 2 different options. And one is the SPEC method, SPECK. S is sin. Is there a sin I need to confess or avoid? P is promise. Is there a promise of God in this passage? E is example. Is there a role model in this passage? C is command. Is there a command to obey? And K is knowledge. What knowledge do I gain about God? So you go through and look for the spec when you're studying.
Love that.
Second option is the in-depth method, and they give you 5 different questions to look for, like who wrote the passage, who was it to, what's the theme, what are some key words in the passage. You can look it up in a Bible dictionary. So they like tell you specifically what to look for to do an in-depth study. So um, I'm just loving all the variety and flavors,
Mhm.
and you can kind of find stuff that fits your personality. If you like to be told what to do, maybe go with this one. If you like to think for yourself and do your own thing, maybe try another one. If you like things that are really, really pretty, maybe do the ruffled mango, like all these different flavors. But Neil sent me this one this week, and I thought it was outstanding. But
I
you can
love
even go
that.
back and choose. You don't have to do this months. If you like feel like a certain theme would be very helpful for you in your current state, you could probably find that month and just do those scriptures and
HendersonCFC.org.
C of C.
Uh-huh.
HendersonCofc.org. Yeah. King's Copy.
I love that spec, especially
Yeah,
just to
isn't that good? It
have
kind of
a,
reminds you of that verse too about consider
Mhm.
before you worry about somebody else, take care of your own business.
But for when people, a lot of times I hear people say, I write it, but I don't know what to do with it. But
Yeah.
to have that guidance to this is what
Yeah.
you can look for, that's super
That's
helpful.
exactly what I was thinking about is sometimes it's helpful to when you're looking at it, but you don't know where to start. And so
Hmm.
they have these study suggestions. You could do it this way or you could do it this way. Here's some ideas.
That's excellent.
Mhm.
Thanks for
All
sharing
right.
that.
Yeah, well, this was a fun one, kind of a lighthearted, best of the best kind of episode, and got some great ideas from you. Thank you so much.
You too. Now I have to clean everything.
I'm not going to be talking on here anyway for a couple of weeks, so I'll miss you, and I hope everybody has a good summer break. We will pick back up again in a couple of weeks. But Carla, until then,
Keep looking up.
I love you, friend.
You too. Talk to you soon.